So this is going to be a simple and straightforward video. We're going to cover my philosophy around a healthy exercise routine, the theory of what a healthy exercise routine should include, and then an outline of the ideal exercise routine in a week. Before we get into that though, I just wanted to say a big thank you to Funky Monkey Bars Australia, who have supplied me with the Silverback system, and it covers all of my upper body strength needs, which is wonderful. And I also wanted to say that this video does not constitute medical advice. Although I have trained as a doctor and am on a specialist training pathway, I'm making this video in a personal capacity and I am not representing any medical college or workplace. There is no doctor-patient relationship formed, but I do encourage you to engage with the content and leave comments, questions you may have, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. Please do remember though that we will be talking about the ideal. Okay, the ideal is not necessarily the reality. And so please check with your doctors, check with your physiotherapists about realistic modifications that work with your health level, because everyone's going to be watching this video at a different level. So let's get into it. Now, as you might know, exercise in general is good for you. Yes, there are certain people that exercise is not right for them at that point in their illness or life, and so it's important to talk to your doctor about where you're up to. But in general, for most people, exercise is very good. The 4 ways that people die, which is heart disease like heart attacks or cardiovascular illness, neurodegenerative diseases like dementias, metabolic syndrome like obesity and type 2 diabetes, issues with cholesterol levels, and the 4th way, which is the development of cancers and the lethal side effects of those. Those are the 4 main ways that people die, and exercise is associated in improvements in all 4 of those domains. So it really helps people live longer, live healthier, and this is a mental health channel. So it also has a very positive association with a lot of mental illnesses in terms of their prognosis. So I did a podcast with Dr. Angus Finley maybe a month or 2 ago, and we talked about the physical side of anxiety and depression, how exercise is critically important in improving the prognosis of those illnesses. It helps with sleep, which helps with everything else, because sleep is one of the critical parts of good physical health. And in time, I think it does also help with self-confidence and feeling better about oneself, but it can be a bit tricky for some people to get into it. So that's why exercise is good, but let's talk a bit about the philosophy on how to get into it. For me, the 3 parts of my approach to exercise are simplicity, consistency, and kindness. Okay, the 3rd is probably the most important, being kind to yourself. Even just turning up for a workout is a great start. But once you start getting into exercise, it's so important that it's consistent. And I think that's where most people struggle. Most people can do an exercise program for 1 to 2 weeks, but doing something that is sustainable for the rest of your life is the key. These 3 domains of simplicity, consistency, and kindness drive the theory behind my exercise program, which is very simple, very easy to be consistent with, and it's okay if you miss a workout here and there. You've got to be kind to yourself. So let's talk about the theory, about what's included in the ideal exercise week. And I use the term ideal so that we understand that it's never perfect and it's all about being good enough. So having a balanced exercise program involves 4 key principles, which basically cover 4 key workouts a week. And yes, that's kind of it's a good goal to start with, doing these 4 different types of exercise per week. The 4 principles to cover are strength, which is building strength and muscles. The second is aerobic or cardio. That's like zone 2 low grade, but proper long workouts like going for a jog or doing some swimming or riding a bike. The 3rd is anaerobic exercise. That's things like sprints. I use an air bike. Some people might do high intensity interval training with different types of exercises. And the 4th is mobility. So this is addressing flexibility, but strength through range of motion, things like yoga, things like stretching, things like addressing weak joints in your body. Everyone's got their own imperfections. For me, it's my left ankle and right shoulder. And for you, it might be something different. But those are the 4 areas you need to cover in a good, healthy exercise routine. So how do we do it? Well, let's start with strength. I guess any of these principles can be incredibly complicated, and there's people who spend their entire careers on trying to optimize They're different strength training workouts, and bodybuilders and powerlifters, they've all got their philosophies that they follow. For me, it's just about being strong and having a bit of muscle mass. I'm not trying to do this to be a Olympic grade powerlifter or, the next Mr. Olympia or anything like that. So the most simple approach to strength that I can find is essentially these three things. You need a push workout, a pull workout, and a leg workout. And there is an ideal exercise in each of these three types of exercise movements that covers most of the muscles in that group. So in terms of pushing, it's the dip. A dip covers your shoulders, your triceps, your pectoral muscles, and it also requires a bit of scapular and back stability. The pull workout is the pull-up. A pull-up covers like almost every single one of your back muscles, your core, your biceps, and it actually does require your chest as well. And squats use almost every single muscle in your lower leg, plus a lot of core, plus you need some upper body strength as well to grab whatever weight you're using. So from a general simplicity perspective, those three exercises, the dip, the pull-up, and the squat, cover almost every muscle in the body that you need to build strength with for health. From those three exercises, you can then add things to address certain weaknesses or certain movements that you want to get better at. The next exercise I would add for most people would probably be a deadlift. Again, all these exercises do require good technique, and it's worth doing a session with a personal trainer to address your technique, and even seeing a physiotherapist can be really helpful to address if there's any particular weaknesses or impingements that need to be kind of rehabilitated before going into these exercises. So doing pull-ups, doing dips, doing squats, they're all quite moderate to advanced movements and exercises. Please talk to your physios, and I'll link some videos down below on how to make easy variations of these exercises. These assistance bands are so helpful, and I was using them for months before I could even do my first pull-up. And there's lots of different exercises to do first before that. So you don't need to go straight into those exercises. I'm just talking about the ideal in this video, the things to aspire towards, the goals. But there will be links in the pinned comment and in the description around different variations and easier variations to start with. Now, before we cover the mobility, aerobic, and anaerobic components of the exercise routine, I wanted to give a big thanks and shout out to this week's video sponsor, which is Funky Monkey Bars. Funky Monkey Bars is an Australian company that has a huge range of different outdoor equipment. One of the things that I feel very strongly about is that all children playgrounds should also have adult kind of exercise equipment, so that the children can see adults playing and messing around, and the adults can play with kids and just muck around. If you're fortunate enough to have a backyard where you can have equipment like this, this equipment covers all of the upper body strength exercises that you need for a good exercise routine for longevity. What I've got here is the Silverback edition. It's got dip bars, pull-up bars. I got free rings because of the sale that was on, and 20% off, so keep an eye out for sales. Having something like this really addresses the principle of consistency, because it's outside, it's available. I can wake up, I'm in my PJs, I have my cup of coffee, and I can do a bit of exercise and strength training, and it's just wonderful. I'm really grateful and happy that Funky Monkey Bars chose to sponsor this channel. And the other thing I love about the Silverback is it gets me outside doing exercise, and starting your day doing exercise with all the lumens of the sky is the nicest way to start your day. So much nicer being outside than being inside under horrible fluorescent lighting and the clutter of a garage. So if it's a good fit for you, if you have a backyard with a space and you got kids that could enjoy it as well, then do consider getting one. A link to the website with all of their different outdoor systems will be included in the description and in the pinned comment. Have fun playing. Okay, so now we've covered strength in depth. Let's talk a bit about the other three areas of exercise. So cardio, aerobic, things like jogging. This is all about keeping your heart in the zone 2 interval. So everyone has a different zone 2. You can actually use your Apple Watch to work out what your heart rate is, but essentially it's a low intensity where you can just maintain a conversation, but it's not pleasant. So if someone calls you, you're able to talk to them, but it's not pleasant. And so if you find you're going for jogs, but you can't talk, well, then that's not zone 2, that's zone 3 or 4, but you've got to bring it back and dial it back a bit. For me, I do jogging, and it's Peter Attia would say it's good to aim for about 3 hours of zone 2 a week. That's probably too much for most people who are working and have busy lives. I try to get 60 minutes a week, and then I try to include it in other activities in the week as well to bump it up a bit, like going for a hike. My preferred exercise is jogging, but that might be different for different people. So you might prefer swimming or riding a bike. Whatever it is, you just want to try and get 60 minutes a week of zone 2, and that'll help build the aerobic base for your cardiac health. This is probably getting into too much depth for the scope of this video, but there's a metric called the VO2 max, which is the efficiency of your heart and your lungs and your blood to transport oxygen around your body. And having a very good zone 2 or aerobic base is an important part of that. And the other important part of that is your anaerobic base. So that's the cardio discussed. Now let's talk a bit about the anaerobic, the sprints, the high intensity interval training, the anaerobic. So this is one of my big weaknesses personally, and I try and do one high intensity interval training session per week. I use my air bike, and I follow the 4 minutes on, 4 minutes off, 4 times protocol. So my workouts are generally around 30 to 35 minutes with a bit of a warm up and a warm down. But to be honest with you guys, I'm not hitting that 4-minute sprint yet, and I'm being kind to myself, but I'm probably at like a 1.5-minute sprint before I just cannot go any harder. And I usually just end up falling off of my bike. So I'm quite deconditioned from an anaerobic point of view, and that's one of the things that I'm working on. But again, that's one of the important philosophical principles of a good exercise routine. Is kindness. So it's about consistency, it's about turning up every week, doing it once a week, and if I don't do well, that's okay. I'm not going to be mean to myself or hard on myself. I'll just keep trying, and I'm sure that I'll improve over time. And then finally, the fourth principle, which was mobility. Mobility is about addressing it's kind of like your rehab. It's addressing your weaknesses, the joints that are weaker and need a bit more kind of strength in terms of balance ability and flexibility and strength through range of motion. You can go to a physiotherapist and get a personalized routine for you, but I found the easiest things to just do yoga. Yoga is a great mobility exercise. It addresses strength through range of motion, and there's a lot of other benefits to yoga as well in terms of gratefulness and mindfulness and meditation. So it's nice that it addresses so many different things. And then I have a couple of exercises personally that I use to just address specific issues with my right shoulder and my left ankle that go beyond the scope of this video. But I do a yoga session plus address that, and I try and do that once a week. Now, it can be kind of fun to try and work out where to place your workouts in the week so that you can rest the body areas appropriately. I'll share with you my weekly workout. I'm keen to see yours as well in the comments below, so please comment down below what your split is for your weekly exercise routine. But I like to start the week with a jog, a 60-minute zone 2 jog, and then I'll do my chest workout on Tuesday, and then there's been about 24, 48 hours of rest for my legs, so then on Wednesday I'll do my lower limb workout, my squats. And then on Thursday, I'll do my back workout. And then on Friday, I'll do my high intensity interval training. And that's good because that's a shorter workout. And usually on Fridays, I cover the emergency department, so I have to get in earlier. And then on the weekend at some point, I will do my yoga workout. But to start with, you can put all those strength workouts into one and just do less sets to start with. And you figure out what works for you in terms of how to split it up in your week. It's also worth mentioning that my consistency with hitting all of these workouts every single week is probably 0%. I rarely get the perfect week, and that's fine because I'm kind to myself and it's about being good enough. But that is my ideal week, and that's where I tend to do my different workouts. The workouts I'm worse at doing is probably yoga and the high intensity interval training ones. And those are probably my two areas that I need to improve on the most, my mobility and my anaerobic fitness. So that's for me to work on. That's where I'm at the moment. But we all have our own challenges that we're addressing, and that's okay. But anyway, I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about in this video. So thank you for staying tuned and watching to the end. Another big thank you to Funky Monkey Bars, the Australian company that supplied the awesome silverback setup that I've got in my backyard. I've been using it almost every single day since I've got it, so that's always a good sign. And I'm really keen to read through the comments of this video to see what you guys are doing for your exercise and what you think about my philosophy, theory, and how I cover exercise in my life. All right, that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.